guys, Keith Engel here with TGI Sports Talk's weekly vlog. I hope not to take up too much of your time, but I get rambling on this subject and might go a little longer than normal. I don't know. I've talked a lot about this on all my shows this week and shows I've appeared on and content I provide for Northeast Streaming Sports and other places. But this is exclusively because I'm doing this another topic exclusively about Aaron Judge and Jacob deGrom signings, why Aaron Judge was a must and Jacob deGrom was the one dumb owner just reaching out and putting his franchise in a bad situation. This way, my Ranger groups will see this. My Yankee groups will see this. The Giant groups will see this. You guys can all complain about what I have to say, and you won't like it, or you might. And these two situations are totally different. Aaron Judge is the face of the franchise with the Yankees. You can say Jacob deGrom could have been the face of the Mets franchise. And I'm going to complain about the contract that deGrom got. God bless him. If he wants to go somewhere and lose and get guaranteed, $888 million for 5 years, knowing he's got injury issues and the taxes are friendly. The tax situation in Texas is much more friendly than it is here in New York. We all know that, especially if you live here. Then God bless him. I don't begrudge him getting his money. I don't care. But Texas, what are you doing? With this signing and last year's signings, you need to be in win now mode. Last year's signings of Simeon and Seager. You lost 94 games last year. Your offense is nearly non-existent. 239 batting average, 301 on base percentage, 398 something slugging percentage. Awful. And that's propped up by four guys. You got four productive hitters in this lineup and a bunch of holes elsewhere. Maybe guys will get better. But outside of Garcia, Seager, Simeon and Lowe, and there's some issues with some of those guys as well, you got nothing. Nothing. Maybe some guys will improve. Your catcher might improve. But this team's going to turn. You think this team's going to pressure the Astros? And if you don't think they are, then why are you signing Jacob deGrom for 5 years at $108 million? You don't know that you're going to get more than 10 starts out of this guy before he breaks down. Let me break it down for you the last couple of years. Shoulder problems. This is my right arm. Shoulder problems, elbow arm problems, forearm problems, which were the issue this year and last year. Pretty much, and all were pretty significant injuries, by the way. No surgeries, but missed significant time. That's to go along with some other injuries he's had in the past. Not quite as serious. But he's 34 years old. He's not 30 or 28. If there was going to be a dumb owner that would sign him to this contract, it should be somebody who's ready to win a World Series this year. The Rangers are not. If you tell me, oh, well, this will help us compete for a wild card, that's not good enough. The money you're laying out, $120 million next year to four players. You're not the Yankees. You're not the Dodgers. You're not the Mets. Where are you going to get the money to fill in the rest of this roster with better quality than what you've had in the past? Ranger fans, I understand you want to be excited. But please, where are you better? Look at the rest of your rotation. Haney, Gray, Perez, all coming off a career year. God bless him, pitched well. You can't be sure he's going to match that. Andrew Haney's never won 10 games in his whole career, had an ERA under 4 times. I'm sorry, twice, I think. He's your number 3 starter. John Gray pitched good in stretches last year. Can't be sure he's going to stay healthy either. Who was the 4th starter? I don't remember. I had this up earlier. Uh, Let me look at it quick here. I mean, one dumb owner. I'm sorry. There's always one dumb owner. If you don't like me saying that, this team's not ready to compete. You need a better bullpen. You need better starting pitching. Glenn Otto's the other pitcher. Well, he's not even listed as a starter in the other. Yeah, because you got to put. This doesn't even have deGrom in here. This one. That's terrible. ESPN, you got to do better with your depth charts. Now, I'm not saying, Josh Smith doesn't progress and become a better player. But again, we're not talking about needing to pick up 5 or 10 wins. You need 20 or more. If all you're doing is competing for a wild card and you're paying $5 million, 5-year, $188 million contract to Jacob deGrom, and this team, I'm not saying you're never going to compete. You're at least a couple of years in my mind away from competing. And if I'm wrong, I will apologize to all my Ranger fans. But I don't think I'm wrong. I think this is a stupid trade. If you make the playoffs next year, because he gives you one good year, you make the playoffs and go out in the first round and pay $188 million to this guy, and then he breaks down. Is that worth it? What is worth it? Anything short of a World Series during this contract with tremendous contribution from Jacob deGrom for his $108 million, it's not worth it. Yeah, you got a great manager now in Bruce Bochy. But there's not enough talent to go around here, guys. 301 on base percentage, that's as bad as it gets in baseball, team-wise. Awful. The rest of your rotation, not good. Where are you going to go get depth in that rotation, in that bullpen? I said $120 million to these 4 guys. I mean, what's going to be the average salary of the other guys? $5 million? That's another $100 million, guys. That's $220 million for this roster? I don't know what it is. I'm making up numbers, right? I'm just saying if the average salary of the rest of the players. I wouldn't think it's a whole lot less than that. Average salary. I don't know what the Rangers are thinking. The Yankees, on the other hand, did the only thing they could do. Go out and sign Aaron Judge. The mystique of the Yankees, still there because Aaron Judge could have got the same money. If Aaron Judge wanted to go home, grew up 3 hours away from San Francisco, by the way. I know it was his team, so we'll call it home for him. And if he wanted to go there, like John Hyman reported in his hurried up tweet when he said arson Judge, what a knucklehead John Hyman is. He'd be there. Yankees signed him for the same exact contract, and the Padres got involved late, offering him another year, $10 million, $400 million, which I thought it might take to get him signed with the Yankees. Hal Steinbrenner stepped up and said, "We'll give it to you." Hal Steinbrenner got himself personally involved in these negotiations as he needed to, and got this deal done. Because this is mutually beneficial to the Yankees and to Aaron Judge. At the end of the day, Aaron Judge understood that his legacy would be much greater playing his entire career with the Yankees, which is pretty much guaranteed now. Whether that's 1 more year or 9 more years or longer. He knows that his legacy is much better here. He knows that he can make money on top of this outside of baseball. The Yankees know that this $360 million is a drop in the bucket. They're not the Texas Rangers. They do have unlimited resources, basically, to go over the salary cap if they need to fill in holes at third base and in left field, shortstop, pitching, wherever you want to talk about. They still have the resources to go out and get this job done. And this was the first step. For anybody to say this is too much money, who's to begrudge anybody from getting what they got coming? I don't begrudge deGrom. He doesn't want to win. I shouldn't say that. He doesn't care as much about winning as he does the guaranteed $188 million and at low taxes. That's pretty much the story. He may not have got offered 5 years from anybody else. Mets would have signed him, I'm sure, for the same thing they signed Justin Verlander. $43 million for 2 years. I'm sure they would have signed deGrom for that money. And I would have said, that's fine. Mets are ready to win. Even if the Mets gave him 5 years, I think that would be stupid, which is why he's not a Met. They didn't offer to him. And you can't. He's pitched 25 games the last 2 years, guys. You cannot count on him to be there to help lead this rotation, which without him is helpless. 94 losses last year. Not a good team. The rotation's not good. The offense outside of the 4 players I mentioned is pitiful. They got a great manager. Maybe all that means they turn it around and they're over 500 next year. Is that good enough for this investment? The Yankees, on the other hand, is $360 million. They'll make back in 3 years, and they'll make billions on it most likely over the course of the rest of Aaron Judge's career, and even after he retires, decades after he's retired, decades after he's left this earth. They're making money hand over fist on Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth and others, and jersey sales and whatever else you want to talk about. This $360 million gets recouped in many, many, many ways. Both now, performance on the field, attendance, and for decades after the deal's done and Aaron Judge is done. And we're all gone. They'll be making money on Aaron Judge. That's the difference in these two contracts. One dumb owner who doesn't understand where his team fits. They think they're a player. They think they're Jacob deGrom away from competing for a World Series. You agree with me, Texas fans? Stand me up. One dumb owner, always. Why you gotta be the Rangers so often? Thank you for TGI Sports Talk.